KTN News. Get the whole story.
It has been mostly depression.
I met Miriam in Dr. Penny Njoroge's office.
I've been suicidal.
She was concluding her afternoon session, and at first she didn't even want to talk to us because she didn't think people would believe her story.
More recently, I have not attempted. Many years ago when I was in domestic violence, I actually attempted and ended up in hospital. Actually, to this day, I don't know how come I'm still alive. I should not have lived that day.
She practically lives her life in the hidden dark corners of depression, suicide thoughts, and doubts about her abilities as a wife, a mother, and career professional.
What comes to your mind when you hear someone you know, a friend or family, has gone abroad, and especially in America? Perhaps a good number of us would think they're headed for better life. I mean, it's a developed country, a superpower, and a land of dreams. The image painted may be glamorous, but it's not all rosy, as we get to see through Miriam Ngugi, a Kenyan residing in the US who has been battling depression. Hello and welcome to Diaspora Life. My name is Basil Telewa. Miriam painfully recounts her battle with depression and warns others that depression is not written on one's face. It's not for the poor nor for the rich. It starts gradually and without any warnings. And as my co-host Chris found out from her, there is a thin line between depression and going crazy.
I met Miriam Ngugi for the first time in Birmingham, Alabama, during my recent trip to the South. Beyond recording a series of untold stories from Kenyans living in Alabama, I had gone to Alabama on a rather personal mission to visit and pay homage to historical sites, among them this place. For me, working and living in America as a first-generation African immigrant, this is one of my shrines, my holy ground, my Jerusalem. But I'll tell you about how I felt that day standing in this bus in another show. For today, it's back to Miriam. I met Miriam in Dr. Penny Njoroge's office. She was concluding her afternoon session, and at first she didn't even want to talk to us because she didn't think people would believe her story.
So you know the way you were talking about the suicide and the depression.
Yeah.
And the domestic violence, I was just thinking about how all those have connected to me and how everything you said completely resonated. So this is not this conversation we're having is actually real, and how maybe it's not a coincidence that we got to meet, because I wouldn't be able to talk to anybody else the way I can with you, because you resonate with all those things. Because I've been through domestic violence, I've been suicidal, dealing with depression, and how all those things can actually interrelate, and how we need to know that they can, and need people like you who not only have a heart for that because you've experienced it, but you have the knowledge to know how to help. It's very needed.
I think what I would say about that is that it takes you to accept it. It takes me to accept it, for me to be able to own up and be vulnerable with you and say that, you know what, not only am I a professional, not only have I gone to school, but I've also experienced it, so that when I talk to my clients, like I told you, I can identify with you. It's not a strange thing. Don't come to me thinking, oh, is she going to understand? Will she judge me? Will she condemn me? That is one thing I try to remove from my client, just to disarm you, to make you feel that you are home where you are. Because you're talking to somebody who understands, who can identify with you. And by the way, I don't think I ever told you that the reason I went into counseling training is because I wanted to be what I was missing.
And this is how her story goes. A series of events took place in her life that triggered devastating depressions that advanced into regular panic attacks. She practically lives her life in the hidden dark corners of depression, suicide thoughts, and doubts about her abilities as a wife, a mother and career professional. In fact, at some point, Miriam gave up in life and attempted suicide by overdosing on drugs. Fortunately, she was rescued and put on treatment for depression. It's the reason she's here today. One in a series of counseling sessions in an attempt to put her body, mind, and spirits right.
You are stressed and depressed. Go for a trained therapist. There is something they are going to hear that your friend, loving are there, they will not hear. That is the difference we have when we say go for therapy, go for counseling. Whether it is for marriage, they hear different. Whether it is for depression, they hear you different. But friends and families love you. But there is something that is lacking. And I'm saying this with all due respect. Because I said, even as a mother, there are things I cannot do for my children. But when they go to a therapist, it's different.
Yeah, and they can open up more. Because there are things that I can tell you that I probably wouldn't tell my mother.
These sessions with Dr. Njoroge are meant to put what she calls her demons in place.
My name is Miriam. I'm married to, my husband is Ngugi, so I'm Miriam Ngugi. I am a mother of 2 boys. And I do a lot of things. I have many hats. I'm trained as an occupational therapist here in this country. I'm also a beauty consultant, my own business with Mary Kay Cosmetics, and I'm also a pastor's wife.
Awesome.
So yeah, and I'm a client of Dr. Penny's.
Yeah. So Miriam, you've had several sessions with Dr. Penny. Specifically, what has it all been about?
It has been mostly depression. I've been struggling with depression. I struggled many years ago, and most recently I struggled again. And so it's during this last period that I was able to connect with Dr. Penny. I've known her in the community, and I reached out to her. And it has been one of the best things I've done for myself, to go ahead and get the counseling that I need.
So again, just for the purposes of people understanding, when you see, we understand depression differently, but what kind of depression have you been going through?
Okay, that's a really good question, because I think sometimes we're not clear on what that means. So I'll speak based on my experience. For me, what happens, so I can give an example of one of the times that I've called Dr. Penny specifically for an emergency session because I'm feeling almost out of control. We had just lost my father-in-law, and so my husband had to travel to Kenya, and I was left with the boys. And I'll say this because my firstborn has given me permission to talk about our collectively. He has been unwell, and so I was dealing with teenager who's unwell, and then I got a second marriage. So my husband right now is my second marriage. That's a whole other story. I came from a domestic violence situation with my first marriage, and then got married to my wonderful husband, and we have a little boy. So I'm dealing with a toddler and a sick teenager, and we just lost. I'm dealing with grief, and it was overwhelming. So that's overwhelming for anybody. When you have depression, what happens is you're unable to cope, and so you feel out of control. You feel like I feel my brain almost like I start going through issues of I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't think, I can't. So I reached out to her and said, I can't handle anything today, please help me. And so she's able to talk to me and show me that what I'm thinking, although it's big, it's not out of control. And that's what counseling does. It helps you almost capture your thoughts and bring them back to what is really real, other than this thing that makes you feel like you can't handle anything at all.
And forgive me for being a little cocky about this, but when you're in that moment, what really goes through your mind?
Yeah, and that's good. Now that particular situation, I want to see what I remember, but I can tell you from a more recent, because this is an ongoing thing for me, by the way. This, I'm not cured. There is cure, you can get cured, but I'm still working through the symptoms of depression. So I find myself going through, this is so difficult. I don't know, I want to mention something that she mentioned, because this will kind of bring light. I've been suicidal. More recently, I have not attempted. Many years ago, when I was in domestic violence, I actually attempted and ended up in hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually, to this day, I don't know how come I'm still alive. I should not have lived that day. But since then, I have not attempted. I've been very close more recently. And how do you get to that point? You feel so like, because I've been unwell, I've been unable to work my occupational therapy job for several years now. And that took a big chunk of income from our home. Now, I had started this business when I had my little one, because I went part-time at work. So I've been working it more. And I tried, so more recently I tried to go back to work, because I felt like, okay, I'm in a good position. But it felt like it was a new setting for me, and I felt like I was a new grad, which under normal circumstances, that's stressful. I've been an OT 10 years, and I go in feeling like I just got out of school. I don't know what to do. I'm asking, okay, so how do you do this? Because my setting for the last 7 or so years has been in home health, which is completely different than working in a nursing home, which is what I went to. So I found that as good as I am as an occupational therapist, I was starting over. So the stress, okay, so a normal person, when you don't have, depression can also be a chemical imbalance. So if you don't have something wrong with your brain, because I like to stress that it's a disease just like any other, you will go through the motions and be okay. You'll get out. And I was getting there. I felt I was getting where, okay, I'm learning. It's just a learning curve. It's okay. I'll figure this out. And I started to figure out and was getting independent. But then it was COVID era, and I haven't worked in COVID until this time. And I'm working with people that the COVID spread in the whole place. And I'm here panicking because we don't stop working because it's COVID. They just told, okay, you're going to test every day, you're going to mask up. And I'm there literally working with old women that yesterday she was fine, today she looks like she can't do anything. And so I start having anxiety. And so what happened to me at that point was, I can't handle this. I can't do COVID. I'm not keeping up to par. You know, my colleague is feeling like I'm not doing what I need to be doing to catch up. And I realized my brain is tired. I can't think. I can't. And then of course I'm gonna come home to my family, and you have to continue, you know, doing the things you need to do. So I remember thinking, I have to take care of myself. I need to take a break, and I think the only break I can really take is from work. And so I discussed that with my husband, and we were just starting. Remember, I've been out of work for several years, so now we were just starting to get where we're okay, you know, financially we're getting back to where we need to be. And then I say I'm not feeling well enough to work, and he has to change everything, you know, because now it's all on him now. So I can use this example because this is what happened to me. I looked at him and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm just bringing problems to him now. I'm not good enough to be, I've done this for so long, and yet I'm not good enough to do it. Now I'm going to be here home again. And I started thinking, that takes away our finances. And this is a thought that came to me, which I want to say to you, because it's very real. I sat down and thought, you know, it's hard for us to go ask people, I'll try not to cry, to ask people for help, to pay bills. Because when you look at me, I look fine. Because you can't see my mind, you can't see my depression. And I thought, I can't go to the community and ask them because they're not going to give me. They're going to ask me, why are you so lazy? Why are you not working? Why do you want to just do this business you've been doing? Why don't you go back to work? You have a education, I have a master's. And I looked and I thought, but you know what? If I die, they're going to give 30,000.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them give 30,000. And my husband will pay all the bills. And you maybe save some. I'm telling you the truth. That is what went through my mind. But because I've been getting help, I knew this is not the way to think. I knew I need help, and I literally knew that I can get help in the hospital. And so I went from that to, okay, I have to go to the hospital. But what going to the hospital meant was my husband could not go to work that day. So I have not just stopped working, I'm going to hospital, so the income that he's bringing he cannot get it that day. And so if I did not have the help, because when that happened, I think I called you, Dr. Penny, or I wrote you a message. I'm on my way to the hospital, and she stayed with me to know, will they admit you? And it's a daily struggle, because now I knew my husband would have to take care of our child and not go to work, and so the bills, now we are in that hole.
Sister Penny, just where you are, please, just 1 minute prayer. Be strong.
Father God, we want to thank you because you are a God when we're in the hole and when we are well. I just want to lift up Miriam, God, as she shares her story. Lord, it is painful. But Lord, I just want to pray that you help her to finish it, because there is somebody in the same hole today who needs to hear that one can be in that hole and yet get help and get well again. Give her strength. I thank you for Chris and for Jennifer, God. Lord, as you use them to highlight this story, Lord, that it needs to be heard. God, use them and bless them. Wipe away Miriam's tears, oh God, and give her the strength and the stamina to finish it, so God, that you can use her to bring help and healing. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen. Miriam, you're doing great. You're doing great. At least you're coming up. One of the things they always say that the first step towards healing is to be open, speak about it, and talk about it. And so you're on the right way. According to Center for Disease Control, commonly known as CDC, depression is more than just feeling down or having a bad day. When a sad mood lasts for a long time and interferes with normal everyday functioning, you may be depressed. CDC advises people to be on the lookout for common symptoms of depression that include feeling sad or anxious often or at all times, not wanting to do activities that used to be fun, feeling irritable, easily frustrated, or restless. It also manifests in having trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, waking up too early or sleeping too much, eating more or less than usual, or having no appetite, experiencing aches, pains, headaches, or stomach problems that do not improve with treatment. It's also having trouble concentrating, remembering details, or making decisions, feeling tired, often after sleeping well, feeling guilty, worthless, or helpless, and thinking about suicide or hurting oneself. Miriam has had all these. For those ones who are watching you, because like you said, depression is not visible. You can't see it on somebody's face. What would you say are some of the triggers? What do you want them to start looking out for?
Very good question. If somebody does something that is a little bit out of the ordinary, maybe they're sleeping too much, they're just not getting up. That's usually a sign for my husband. When he sees that I'm not getting out of bed, he knows, okay. So he'll just take over. So not getting out of bed like you should, not eating like you should, or eating too much. Sweets for me is my little thing that helps me feel better. You don't really feel better. Just little things like that. Even getting irritable, just something small. I have a small child, just something he does that irritates me. So if somebody around is just so easily irritable, it's a sign also. So things like that. And if you know, there have been things like that. So you see, I lost, now not only did I lose my father-in-law, within a week or so of my husband being away, we lost everything to a fire. Everything. I was me and my children, and that's whatever we had on us, and me able to grab my children, get out of the house, that's what was saved. We lost everything. And I'm not working. So when there are such big life stressors, you want to look at the person who's involved in all of it, and if you see signs of maybe not even taking a shower, not eating well, or eating too much, or sleeping, those are signs for sure.
The exact cause of depression is unknown. It may be caused by a combination of genetic, biological, environmental, or psychological factors. Everyone is different, but the following factors may increase a person's chances of becoming depressed. And these are having blood relatives who have had depression, experiencing traumatic or stressful events such as physical or sexual abuse, the death of a loved one, or financial problems. And of course, going through a major life change, even if it was planned. In general, about 1 in every 6 adults will have depression at some point in their life. Depression affects about 16 million American adults every year. Anyone can get depressed, and depression can happen at any age and in any type of person. Many people who experience depression also have other mental health conditions. Anxiety disorders often go hand in hand with depression. People who have anxiety disorders struggle with intense and uncontrollable feelings of anxiety, fear, worry, or panic. These feelings can interfere with daily activities and may last for a long time. Miriam, we wish you the very best.
Thank you.
And thank you again for agreeing to do this. I know it's not easy.
It's not.
I know it's not easy. I know I've been doing this for more than 20 years, and I know it's not easy. But I thank you for sharing your story with our viewers. You may have just saved somebody. Viewers, I've been talking to Miriam. Miriam, like everybody else, has been going through stressors. She's been going through depression. Something she says started long time ago, but the good news is that at least now she's going through treatment. I found Lillian at Dr. Penny's clinic, and that's why we are doing this. So if even you, depression, like we said, it's not, you can't see it. It's not there's no sign that you can't see it on somebody's face. But look out for the triggers, like what Miriam has said, and please seek help. It won't benefit you or anybody if you don't seek help and instead decide to take your life. Because, like she said, like Dr. Penny said, if you take your life, you're not solving a problem, but you're creating more problems. So we do this because we want you to come out and speak about these things. It's the Kenyan community abroad is not so much. So if we lose 1 or 2 people every week, then that's really a big strain on the community. Again, my name is Chris Omalo, and I'll see you again next week. Thank you.
Unfortunately, we got to wrap up for today. Thank you so much for watching Diaspora Live. Join us again next week and every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on KTN News for amazing stories of Kenyans living abroad. If you have a story you'd like to share with us, DM us on our social media platforms at diaspora_life and at KTN News KE, or email us through diasporalife@standardmedia.co.ke. You can also follow me at Pasil Telewa on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok for more behind-the-scenes stories. Have a lovely week and see you again soon. Bye-bye.